What if I told you that the universe is singing to you right now? Not in words, but in vibrations, rhythm, and frequency. Just like a song, everything you see, feel, and know is energy in motion, dancing to a cosmic beat. Welcome to Rockstar Intuition. On this channel, the existence of psychic abilities is assumed. I experience some kind of psychic event every single day. From little stuff like the sense of being stared at or thinking about a person before they text, all the way up to miracles and supernatural encounters, although the crazier stuff is definitely a bit more rare. I also do a good bit of remote viewing, which is probably somewhere in the middle. But the common thread between all of these things is something we can all access: intuition. The purpose of this video is to share my theoretical framework behind the science of intuition as I currently understand it. This is a short version of my own theory of everything, or TOE, to steal a term from legendary researcher Tom Campbell. Check him out if you haven't. His interview on Joe Rogan was pretty rad. The gist of my theory is simple. The universe is a song. Yes, the universe, and by extension, everything in it, is a song expressed in physical form. We're all a bunch of notes in a cosmic jam session. But not just us humans, all of it. The stars, the moon, the trees, the animals, the device you're watching this video on, and the electricity that's running it. Not to mention the planet itself, which I personally believe is one gigantic, conscious superorganism. The idea that the universe is a song fits nicely with something Albert Einstein once allegedly said. We are slowed down sound and light waves, a walking bundle of frequencies tuned into the music of the cosmos. We are souls dressed up in sacred biochemical garments, and our bodies are the instruments through which our souls play their music. Einstein is the definition of an intuitive rock star, a creative thinker who studied the nature of reality and pushed the boundaries of his field. He was also a musician and apparently knew how to absolutely shred on the violin. When I say the universe is a song, what I'm suggesting is that at a quantum scale, everything is just a bunch of vibrating energy, and nothing in our so-called physical reality is actually real. Now that might sound like some hippy-dippy bullshit that some weirdo at a music festival came up with, but in fact the 2022 Nobel Prize went to a group of scientists that proved this very idea experimentally. The big question that still remains is, what is this energy? I would suggest that this energy is big C consciousness, like the infinite absolute consciousness of the notorious God. The big C energy weaves together in different ways, depending on the information associated with it, to form smaller packets of little c consciousness, which can vary in complexity from a single atom all the way up to a human being and beyond. Each packet of little c consciousness, every bird, tree, and person, is a note in the complex universal symphony, which is constantly in a state of both recording and playback. I see the Earth as like an orchestra contributing to this universal recording, or something like that. I think the available information, scientific and otherwise, shows that this is generally a pretty good guesstimate of what's really going on in our reality. I think intuition theory works quite well within this broader context of the universe being a song, made of consciousness, because music by definition is a collection of coherent sound waves, and sound waves are just energy with particular information associated with them, like amplitude, or power, and frequency, which dictate the relative volume, tone, and pitch of any given note. Let's look at three different definitions of intuition. So the psychological definition of intuition is the ability to understand something without needing to know how or why. Your conscious reasoning doesn't come into it, you just kind of get it. The practical definition is accurately knowing something without knowing how you know. This is kind of the same thing, and the key word there is accurately. Now, the spiritual woo-woo definition comes from Latin, to intuit or inturai. This is effectively translated as to learn from your inner teacher. A lot of people call this the higher self. You can also call it the subconscious. There's, God, there's a whole bunch of different definitions. In our day-to-day lives, we use our physical senses to perceive and understand the external world around us. Essentially, intuition is like an inner version of these senses. It's also something we all have, and just like our physical senses, people experience intuition in different ways. For example, my brother has 20/20 vision, and I have less than that. When I got into music production, I trained my ears like crazy. I would listen to other people's mixes, give critiques on them, and try to figure out how I could improve my hearing, my ear for music, my ability to detect different frequencies and tell what was going on in a mix. As a result of doing this for years, I ended up with effectively superpowered hearing. You can actually train your inner senses in a very similar way. So when we talk about inner senses, I'm talking about the psychic corollaries to your outer senses. You've got your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, and a couple of other ones that you don't really engage with as much in the external world, sensing energy and emotions and things like that. Those are your clairsentience, the somatic, where you feel stuff in your body, and the empathic, where you feel it in your emotional centers, or chakras. We can also get intuitive information spontaneously or intentionally. That just means it'll either show up on its own or it'll show up when you're trying to find it. Now, the spontaneous stuff is something that most of us are familiar with. You think of somebody and a minute or two later you get a text from them or they call you. Dreams are also a great example of spontaneous intuition. We all have dreams. I mean, sometimes it's just, your subconscious kind of clearing out the trash or whatever. But I've had tons of dreams where the stuff from those dreams ends up happening the next day or something very much like it. I think this is also a pretty common experience that a lot of other people have had too. Drop some of your own spontaneous, intuitive moments in the comments. Training your intuition is a lot like learning a musical instrument, or any other skill for that matter. You train it like you would train your body or your mind, with regular, repetitious, flow state exercises. Actually, training your body and mind are probably one of the best things you can do to improve your intuition as well. So do that too. Remote viewing is a great example of a relatively easy to learn, hard to master type of intuition training. The parallels to music are just... There are two key concepts at the root of how and why this stuff works, and those are energy and information. Everything has information. Information is just the characteristics of any given thing. So for example, this shirt is green. This tuning fork is a G. Primus sucks.
We're Primus. Yes, then we do suck.
Also, everything is energy. Everything we perceive as physical matter in the universe is just energy vibrating at a super fast rate. That's what Einstein's whole E=mc² thing is. Einstein himself is actually quoted as saying, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant." When he says rational mind, he's talking about your, little c consciousness. We've created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Look around anywhere and you'll see that that's the case. If people were more in tune with their intuition, we wouldn't have nearly as much struggle in the world. All energy has information associated with it, and since everything is energy, everything in the universe has information. So for example, any given unit of energy would have some baseline information associated with it, like a relative location in time or space and a speed that it's vibrating at. As you add these units of energy together, their various properties combine to create all the stuff that there is. Stuff includes things like thoughts and feelings, by the way. This is a key concept as well. You can actually measure it with scientific equipment, but we'll talk about the physical body in a minute. All this vibrating energy can interact with other vibrating energy, and it can do so across time and space through quantum entanglement. This all works via some as yet unquantified mechanism at the quantum level. But my money is on the idea of the Force from Star Wars, or something like it. Obi-Wan Kenobi put it best. "The Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together." This is also consistent with the idea of prana, or chi, which is a universal energy that flows in currents in and around the body, typically via the breath. Generally speaking, though, there's about 95 other examples in every single major religion in the world of this fundamental God source energy that pervades the entire universe. The universe is just one big song, and everything in it is different notes being expressed in different ways. There is a massive body of evidence to support the idea that these vibes, at a fundamental level, are infused with a deep and pervasive higher intelligence, the intelligence of creation. To see this evidence, just look at nature, or any given instance of inspired human creativity in history. The concept that everything is energy and that all energy has information is pretty much fundamental, at least to my understanding of how things like remote viewing work. For the purpose of developing psychic abilities, assuming that everything is energy, and that all that energy has information, and that you can interact with both that energy and information with your own energy systems, it's a pretty important assumption. Psychic abilities are really just a form of resonance between different energies. Your own personal energy and the energy of whatever it is you're trying to perceive with your psychic abilities. At the end of the day, consciousness is the force. It's the quantum substrate that makes up everything that we think of as reality. Which again is just, according to quantum physics, a bunch of fields that are made of energy that are vibrating. Another critical assumption here is about how this stuff operates in the body. There's tons of scientific backup for this too. Check out the Institute of Heart Math if you want more detail. The way I look at the physical body in all of this is as a robot made of electrified meat. This meat suit is also equipped with a functional quantum computer. That computer is the neuronal network of your heart, brain, and gut. You can think of this network like a physical computer. Your subconscious mind is more like the operating system and the apps or programs for that computer. Whereas your conscious awareness and your intentions are more like the user interface, the thing you use to actually interact with those programs. Your intentions are also how you get the programs to make the meat suit interact with the world and the wider energy internet or quantum field at large. I've seen quantum field is often used as another more scientific word for the force or vibes. I tend to use it more as a way of describing the stage or the playing field, choose your own analogy, on which this force energy does all of its vibey things. We all exist within this quantum field, and so does everything else that has or will ever exist. Hold on, I'm getting a download. Quantum field is this infinite, timeless background media within which all of these, force energies that make up existence do their vibey stuff. So this physical system of the brain, heart, and gut is also complemented by an energetic system. You might know these as the chakras. These are energy centers in the body. They tend to resonate with emotions. When you have a physical sensation due to some sort of emotional event, that's generally your chakras reacting to them. Now, these energy systems aren't just limited to humans. Animals have them as well. They're a great source of intuitive information once you learn to open them up and feel how they work and learn what they're actually trying to tell you when they get triggered. Generally speaking, anytime anybody gets triggered by anything, it's one of their chakras kind of popping off. So now that we've got these assumptions out of the way, how exactly do you train your intuition? The key, in my experience, has been flow state. Anytime I get into a flow state, whether it's on stage or doing a remote viewing session, it washes everything else away. If you've done any kind of creative work, you know exactly what I'm talking about. By actively entering flow state, we give the force a channel to flow through. Us. That's why they call it channeling. You're allowing the vibration of something else into your field. You're giving it a voice in the physical world. I did it when I wrote all the scripts for this. I'm doing it right now as I tell this to you. You're doing it every time you eat, you sleep, especially in your dreams, when I walk the dog, or put away the dishes. You can open the channel whenever you want, really, and control what the force delivers to you. It's like a streaming service for information from anywhere in reality. The key to getting into flow state is in getting some coherence between your heart and your brain. Heart-brain coherence is what ties the room together. That's how you get your body to interact with the wider universe on an intuitive level. This isn't hard to do. Take a walk in the woods and you'll find that your heart-brain coherence is locked right in. Alternately, you can meditate, play some music. Really, you're just trying to get to that still point that meditation gives you. Once you're in that point, once you've unlocked that gateway, then the information just flows. In the context of remote viewing, this is why we generally do a cool down at the start of a remote viewing session. The great thing is, it's super reliable. Anytime you get into that state, the flow is just going to kick in. But like with anything else, it takes practice. Another more modern analogy would be that the universe is more like a streaming service, but one that's also the root source of the creative energy making the music. This music flows through us. In this variation, we are the songs. Our lives are a series of conscious moments where we tune into the different lyrics and phrases and notes and rhythms of that song. The journey of listening to this song is what we experience as life. The song changes over time, too. More like an album, really. A playlist of the conscious experiences we have and the ways they shape us over time. Many people ignore this background music and experience dissonance as a result. Life works better when you're in tune with the universal song, and connecting to that stream is easy. You just have to get into what any good musician would recognize as the zone or flow state. I hear this music every time I go for a walk in the woods or dive into a creative project. I'm hearing it right now. Aspects of ourselves speak to us across time like different notes. We can find them in the commonalities that thread through our lives. Our preferences and programming, they reflect back at us like different lyrical hooks, catchy earworms that can propel us forward, or discordant noise that just drags us down. The pining for the golden moments of youth, the grudge you can't let go, your love of rock and roll, your solid work ethic, and your disdain for onions. It's all in there. Our lives are often spent just letting that song play and not really being overly conscious of the music. Maybe we have a lot of noise that's drowning the music out entirely. Making better choices can help with that. Drink less. Get some exercise. Go outside and get some fresh air at least. And drink more water. You're probably dehydrated. When we're operating at our peak, we can hear the music loud and clear, and we're just vibing to this song. Just like with listening to music, you can focus on different elements of your life song in any given moment, and change the music by playing your instrument, which is your conscious awareness, your intention, and your focus. This is how manifestation works too. As I mentioned before, reality itself can be looked at as a song that's constantly in a state of recording and playback at the same time. The eternal now that's ever in flux. Our lives are kind of like live off the floor recording sessions in this context. Improvisational to a point, but within structure. The song already exists on some level. You already know it. You've heard it somewhere in time, and you've been performing it every single day of your life, but the current take is still recording. You can even do things like pause the tape with a meditative breather and listen ahead or back to different sections. You just have to zoom in on the part that you want to hear. This is how precognition works, more or less, and you can do it in a targeted way by employing psychic tools like remote viewing. The goal of Rockstar Intuition is to get you in tune with your song and give you a few techniques to optimize your recording session. Remote viewing is kind of like a paper version of Pro Tools in this sense. When you get into a remote viewing session, you connect to your own root note by grounding, and then explore the music of your target using the various steps and stages of the process. The song of your life is like a performance that resonates across time. You can kind of look at this like a tarot deck that's being shuffled. Each card a slice of your life, a gestalt capturing your experience in any particular moment. These moments also tend to shift and evolve and repeat in different themes. This is, I think, pretty much how astrology works. A different ride for each of us, guided by the intermingling of the planets and the pulse of consciousness in the universe through all that exists. Our individual songs are part of the infinite playlist of the cosmos, singles resonating with the music of the spheres, which can be imagined as the music made by Big C consciousness through the different layers, or spheres, of physical and non-physical reality, as they rotate around and subdivide fractally forever, from galaxies all the way down to atoms. So yeah, maybe the universe is a song, and maybe your life is on track to be the greatest album of all time. Each moment, each choice, and each breath is a note that you're playing right now. The more in tune you are, the better it sounds, and the more clearly you can hear what's coming next. If this resonated with you, and you want to keep exploring how to tune into your own song, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who could use a little more harmony in their life. If you want some tools to help you record the best version of your reality, check out the Rockstar Intuition course in the description below. You can try it today for free. Until next time, keep listening, stay curious, and remember, you're already in the band. You just need to start playing like you mean it.